thank you everybody for attending, and people will be watching this in the future. We're still under quarantine here around the world. We have Daniel at our studio in Miami. We have James in LA. We have Richard, who we have not seen in a long time. Richard used to work out of our Beijing office and has gone on his own to better and greater things. He's now in Chicago,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, well, Wisconsin, but close enough.
Wisconsin, okay. So thanks for joining us. He's actually one of the persons that developed all our hand interaction. If you're familiar with our High Five VR glove, and he worked also with the Unity team, game development team in our office in Beijing. And then you have Alex working from his house, and Ari working from his house in LA. And soon we should have the honor of having Toby join us as well. Toby was the head of game development at Neudem, and he moved back to Switzerland a few years ago. A year ago.
Yeah, roughly around a year ago. Yeah.
A year ago. So now he's in Zurich. So I think he's going to be joining us soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to thank special thanks to both Toby and Richard for joining us. It's kind of special to have you guys here. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And you got the best of the best. I mean, Toby, one of the things that he did was he's the one that actually developed and created the whole Unity SDK for Perception Neuron, the original. So he's the man behind the
magic,
the plugin SDK, whatever. So on that note, I will exit left.
Yes. Awesome.
And let you guys take over.
Great.
You guys take over.
All right. So thank you for the introduction for everyone. Let me know if you guys see my screen share.
Yes.
Perfect. So this is just a quick contact card for Richard. I got this picture off the internet, so my apologies. So that's Richard's email if you guys have any questions after this webinar. And then Tobias here, I can forward in contact information for him afterwards. But yeah, this is more or less who's going to be joining us as a guest speaker today. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We're going to upload this video on YouTube afterwards. So today's webinar is just going to be about the Unity plugin. I'm going to just walk you through where to find the plugin and how to get comfortable with the manual, and a little bit of couple of rules to have in mind when you set up your projects inside of Unity. So first off, and if I cut off or anything happens, please let me know, everyone, so I don't miss anything. So if you check out our neuronmocap.com/downloads, you'll find our plugins at the bottom, and you'll see that we have our Unity SDK plugin. As we mentioned earlier, the Unity SDK plugin was developed by Toby, and he was the developer who worked in the development phase of the plugin very early on. You can see here we have the latest version here uploaded on our website, ready for download with the handbook. We get a lot of common questions regarding how to use the plugin. A lot of the information can be found on the Unity handbook plugin. This is your Swiss Army knife as far as understanding what the plugin is made up of, how to use it, how to set it up. A lot of information is in there. And we've added also information for new Access Studio software for those who have Perception Neuron Studio. So that information is there. A lot of insightful stuff is there for you to read. Make sure you guys review this. If you have any questions, if anything is not up there, feel free to email us at contact@neuronmocap.com. So let's go ahead and get started how to set up the plugin, just to show you guys how it works. As you can see, that's the download button that's there. I've downloaded the Unity SDK on my computer here. And you can see when you download it, it's simple Unity package to add inside of Unity. Right now I'm using the latest Unity file version of their project, which is 2019.3.9 as of this video. And to add the Unity package is quite simple. I've already added to this project here, but in order to do so, all you have to do is just go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, locate the package that you just downloaded. And then once you hit open, it'll ask you a couple of questions of what you want to add. In this case, we're going to add a lot of different, we're going to add the whole entire folder for this case here. What we will do is just kind of get comfortable what's in the project here. There's a lot of different assets that you can use. There's prefabs that are included. There's also example projects that you can use for those VR users, those who want to use FBX animations. A lot of important stuff for you to look at. For this video, we're just going to touch base on the essentially the scripts that are included with the plugin. And the script that we're going to be focused on is the Neuron Animator instance. This is the one that we're going to be using to connect to our MOCAP hardware. So before we get into connecting the MOCAP hardware inside of Unity, I'm just going to brush real quick how to set this up inside of Access Studio. And so in the Access Studio, this is the new UI that we have. And one of the important things to do is just go into the main menu, go to Settings. We have BVH Broadcasting. The BVH Broadcasting we want to focus is on a standard one, which is the first one you see. Selecting the Perception Neuron Pro skeleton data, enabling TCP to local IP communication. Since I'm using the same computer right now. If I wanted to use a MOCAP host, I can do that, put a static IP, depending on your setup goes. So I'm going to go ahead and give Ari just kind of a remote access so he can set me up with the suit. Ari, are you online right now? You're there, right?
Yep. I got control of your machine.
Okay, so the first things first, we're just going to connect to the suit. I have right now my sensors in sleep mode. All right, and I disappeared into, there I am. So let me find my MOCAP area here just to make sure everything's good. Just give me 1 second. Okay. All right, so we can go ahead and initiate the calibration. Yeah, everything's good.
AS and T pose.
Got it.
And S pose. And a T pose.
Okay, and that's a quick setup to start your MOCAP data information inside of Access Studio. So that covers the base of what's going on with your suit, essentially. So let's go ahead and we'll go back into Unity. I've already checked off my suit is working. I'm data streaming my information from the settings panel. So now I can go into Unity and start setting up my project. So inside of Unity, we want to first test out with the, we have a prefab of our robot, for example. You can see that I already have the prefab of the robot here. If you go into Neuron prefabs, just give me 1 second, make sure I'm using the right one. Okay, Neuron resources. Models.
Daniel, just a quick question. Yes. I just want to ask that Neuron 0.2.15 package, that works for all the hardware, correct? For Perception Neuron 32 to Perception Neuron Studio, correct?
Yes, correct. That's all supported. It's using the same SDK, the Neuron Data Reader SDK.
Perfect. Thank you.
So real quick, just to show you where we have our prefab, that's in the Noidum Neuron. Under Neuron Resources Models, you'll find a single mesh. Now, this is very important for everyone to understand that this is the reference that we want everyone to use. This is the T-pose. This is the naming convention that everybody should be using. Now, I went ahead and opened this in Maya so everyone can understand what's going on. You can see here in Maya, this is the same model that I have in Unity. This is a reference file that we want everyone to get comfortable with. You can see here in the outliner, we have the naming convention properly set up. And we also have a T-pose already configured. The T-pose is already set up with the legs facing, going down, the characters in the T-pose. The fingers are all pointing straight forward. Even the thumb is pointing forward. So that's kind of the setup that we want everyone to follow with this plugin at this moment. When you go into, you can also go into display, check out the local transformations on the whole entire character, for example, and just look at, just let me go into this section here. You can see all the directions the bones are facing, okay? This is kind of a cheat sheet so everyone can see and understand what's going on with the skeleton. So this is a good reference for everyone. So what I will do is just kind of just click and drag this character here into the project. I have this character on the scene here. You can see single mesh. And then if I wanted to add the integration to RStudio, it's quite simple. I can go back into the folder here, Neuron, and go into Noidum Neuron, and go to scripts. And we're going back to that script that we were looking at earlier. And I can either click and drag this on top of this character, or I can click on this character and add components and click on Neuron Animator Instance. Now, this is the script that Toby had created for everyone to integrate our data, and it's quite simple. We have the IP address. We're using local with the port number. One thing is just quick checklist is to make sure you have connect to access. That enables the connection to get established at the point of runtime. So this is pretty much default. There's nothing much going on. As far as customization, is just straightforward. So once that's done, if I hit play, you can see that my data is going real time to the Unity project, and it's following my movement. Quite simple, right? It's nothing much to it. It's very straightforward. Now, I'm going to walk you through a real quick scenario if I'm using a character creator character here. And for example, I'm using character creator 3. This is a default character. I have a T-pose already ready set to go. And then I'm going to export this character as a FBX. I'm selecting Unity 3D. And I'm also deselecting embedded textures and just keep it default with calibration options here. So I'm going to export this file. Just press OK. And let me know if there's any questions out there, guys, while I do this. And then I'm going to save this in my characters folder here. I'm going to create a new folder, Gen Mail for now. Name that Gen Mail. And then wait for that to export. And I'm just keeping an eye on the time, make sure I'm not pushing too back on this. Okay, just let that finish. Any other questions at the moment right now, guys? Did I lose everyone?
No questions.
No questions. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not losing anybody.
You're good. You're good.
So one of this.
Oh, Toby jumped in.
Toby just jumped in.
Yes.
All right, Toby. Welcome, the mastermind.
Hello.
We're talking about
not really.
No, you're jumped in right on time. I'm just closing up with a character creator character who's going to be using your plugin. So, all right. So I've already exported my character creator from iClone's Reallusion's application here. Now I need to import this character inside of Unity, right? Now what you want to do is that Reallusion has a plugin that can make your life a lot easier. I want everyone to check out this link here. This is an auto setup for Unity for character creator characters. All you do is just add a project and add the asset into your project. And all you need to do is just click and drag your character folder inside of the CC assets. So I'll go ahead and do that. For example, I'm going to go to my characters. This is the folder I just created with my character assets. You see that there's a lot of textures. It can be quite a lot of overwhelming. But this plugin from Reallusion makes your life easy importing characters. And let's just give it a minute for it to compile. And then after this, we're going to go ahead and ask questions for Toby. Toby's going to be joining us for a quick explanation, just a quick talk about the plugin that he created for Perception Neuron. So let's give that a second to complete. And once that's complete, it's going to save you a lot of time from, with assigning shaders, etc. So now that I look at this character, you see all the character creator assets have been assigned properly. I have the character in a T pose. Now I have one more step to do is that we need to configure this character from animation type from generic to humanoid. That's another requirement for the plugin for Unity. So as soon as I hit apply, Unity is going to do its little baking process. It's going to change the skeleton data to humanoid. This may take a few seconds, a few minutes, depending on your machine. Once that's done, then we can get into the fun part, which is just adding the plugin, and it'll take care of that. So let me move the previous skeleton that I had. This is the iClone character that I had. And if you remember, if you go into the Neuron package here, if I go to the scripts, I can add the animator instance from the project window here or directly into the character. So what I will do is just click on the character and add it from this inspector view. And same thing, I have the local IP on my computer, 7001 ports, connect to Axis. And let's make sure that I'm calibrated correctly. Let's go into, let me remote with Ari. Ari, if you can help me calibrate just to make sure everything's good.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. It looks like your left foot is giving us a little bit of trouble, but let's do a full calibration.
Yes.
And S pose.
Yes.
And T pose.
No, your hands have disappeared. Like, no.
They're back.
There you go.
All right. Cool.
Just really quick, I just want to make sure that people know Daniel's using the Perception Neuron Studio suite, which is our brand new suite. When he's broadcasting this data into Unity, he switched the broadcasting data on the on Axis Studio to the bone skeleton structure of Perception Neuron Pro and Perception Neuron 32. That way you're getting the correct translations and the right bone structure when you're doing this process.
Right. Perfect. So I've already done the calibration. Just to review what I just did, now I'm going to press play to see if the data is going through this character. So now as I hit play, I got my data going to this iClone character. Not an iClone character, but it was created on the character creator. For those of you who are using Relusion's character creator. So, the textures are pretty basic. I'm not using a PBR for this, but you can see that it's getting all my information real time. So it's quite simple. There's really not much to it, but there's a lot of hard work that was involved with developing this plugin, which is why we invited our guest Toby to just give a little insight of the process of using the data and creating the plugin to make it available for our users. So Toby, I mean, you can just give us an insight. What's your take on the plugin and your work on the plugin?
Yeah, right. So, I mean, the plugin got developed about 5 years ago for Perception Neuron, and basically it was just how can we use the MOCAP data generated by Perception Neuron inside Unity. And so basically all it is Axis. I mean, for Axis Neuron, it all sends you a list or an array of float values, and then the SDK just takes those float values and transforms them back into vector 3s for Unity. And so if you have displacement enabled, it will be not only rotational values in Euler angles, but also position values for each bones. They're all always going to be local values, except for the hips, because we cannot detach our arm, at least not comfortably.
Right.
So there's no need to have global position. So it's always going to be local. And if you're not using displacement, it's just going to be local viewer angles. And that's about it. I mean, it's pretty basic.
Yeah, that's good insight. So the hip bone is basically the positional data. Everything else is relative rotation value. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, because it's all based on the VVH format. You can Google that if you want. It's like a standardized format in MOCAP industry.
Yeah.
And it has a hierarchy structure. So there's the hip, there's the roots, and then you have your legs, you have your upper leg, your lower leg, your feet, your toes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a hierarchy for your bones in a way.
How much sweat and tears was put into this?
Sorry, say how much what?
How much sweat and tears was put into this?
Not that much. I mean, the MOCAP is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I mean, most work is done by axis neuron. We just take the data and apply it. There's some tricky parts related to how you rig your character. That was the case in the beginning. I don't know if it's still the case.
Yes.
Then it's about how you're going to use your MOCAP data. That's the more sweaty part. I mean,
how
you're going to use it, what should happen, and
I think go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Toby, because I know early on in the beginning, a lot of the development focused actually around VR and game development, which your background is in. And we've seen a shift in, the game engines being used a lot for game creation, for not just game creation, but for cinematics and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Where have you seen the shift in kind of even during your time at Neudem? Was there anything that you had to adjust on the SDK? Did you see the changes happening from the original game development when you had to kind of build around the neuron skeleton, apply that for game development, to where you see it now being used more for?
Not really. I mean, again, we try to keep it really straightforward. I mean, it's okay. You have your MOCAP data. You use your MOCAP data. We don't really care if you use it for animation or VR. It's just data. It's just a body. We had like a little example how to combine it with the VR headset. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of tricky things you need to do. So it's just a very basic example. It was always advertised shipped as a SDK for animation. Mm-hmm. So it fits both parts. I mean, if you use it for virtual production or real-time production or previs or real-time previs, it's all animation. If you want to use it in VR, just put on a VR headset. I mean, basically.
Yeah, I think they included. We have some example scenes in that SDK. So when you download it, everyone, you can deep dive into the setup and pick the developer's brain on how they did that. So make sure everyone has a look at that, which could be helpful for a lot of first starter developers out there. But thank you for the input, Toby. It's quite exciting to see that this plugin has also been used by a lot of our developers worldwide. We have some developers in Japan who have used this for VTubers. We've seen a lot of people use this plugin for biomechanics. So it has been. This is the base. This is what the data comes in, and then people have used this plugin to use it for an output of either entertainment or for biomechanics, for studies and stuff like that. So, it's a huge thank you to Toby and his team that created this plugin 4 years ago, and then it keeps on getting used by a lot of users out there. And that's about it. And thank you for joining us today. If any questions come up, feel free to ask right now. If anything's get missed out, make sure to email us, and we'll forward some questions to Toby if anything. So just
there's a. I mean, if you're very new to this, there's a one small trick you should be aware of.
Yes.
When you use your Access or Perception Studio data inside Unity, don't use displacement.
Right.
So doing it this way, you will have no weird transforms going on in your bone structure. Right. And you can also use Unity's internal retargeting to use it on a different character than the one you rigged, the one used by the SDK.
Yeah, you can see here I had it disabled, and then you can use Toby's suggestion in Unity. So yeah, that's something we recommend a lot of users.
People try to use it and why it's like weird, what's happening, and
right. Yeah, I've seen some characters like this height just kind of crunch in, and then like you see them like either become like a midget or a tall person. So it's all part of the workflow where you're basically setting up your character correctly with our data, and that's it pretty much. So yeah, thank you again for that. I think we can move on to the next section, which I wanted to bring up for everyone who's watching. Is more or less of insight of using this plugin for for as a VR user, and that's why I brought in Richard, who's on us with right now at the moment. He's kind enough to share us on some projects that have used Toby's plugin. Richard is one. It's been one of the developers with the hand interaction for High Five. He's also used the plugin. So Richard, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Daniel. How are you?
Good. Thank you. It's great to see everyone join us all together. We're all. Toby and Richard have been working with our team for quite some time. They're working on their own projects now, but it's great to reunite with the team. So let me set up the project here for Richard, so he can start. You can start ahead and talk about your experience.
Yeah, and really quick, I sent that second project. Did you get a chance to?
Yes, it's unpackaging right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what I built, I built this a long time ago when the Perception Neuron first came out, and this is like a retargeting project. So I noticed you were showing us you could just make the iClone character and import it into Unity, and it already will do the retargeting for you.
Right.
Back when I was using it, it wasn't that easy to import a 3D model from a different application. You had to rig the character based on the original Perception Neuron skeletal system. So that's why I ended up building this retargeting script that helps you do that. But also because I was able to build it kind of from scratch, I was able to do some more interesting stuff that can be used for video games. So I can show that off here. Did you give me access to your computer?
Yes, you should have remote access onto my computer.
Let me see. How does that work?
It usually gives you a permission that I gave you. Let me make sure. Yes, so you should have access right now. Let me know.
Yeah, I'm just...
Let me give you access one more time. Just bear with us while we get this set up. Okay, so I sent her a re-access again. Let me know.
Says you are viewing the screen. Okay, share screen.
Yeah, just navigate in the window for Zoom, and then you should get access to my screen or the full screen that you have there. Just bear with us 1 minute, guys.
Yeah, well, Richard gets that set up with the navigation. Just again, want to reiterate some of the things that Daniel was pointing out in terms of use cases. I think very early on, one of the things that we've seen on the previous side was the actual Unity development team when they created their project Atom a few years ago, and I'll drop the link to that here. They used Perception Neuron to previs that short feature when they were unveiling their new kind of like shaders and the new Unity. So basically, they did all the previous work using the system. They did all the visuals afterwards. But that's kind of one of the really nice early examples that I can see Richard has control now on the screen. So with that, I'll go ahead and let Richard speak.
Yeah, thank you. So Daniel, you're streaming from...
Yes. Yes, go ahead and press play. Voila.
Okay, so you could see his MOCAP data now. So what you see is that all these characters are being controlled by that data. Now, if I press F, what that does is it gives me control of this character, which I should be able to rotate the screen. I'm not sure why it's not letting me.
Might be because of the 3-bind mouse. That's totally fine.
So I can control this character, I can jump, I can crouch. So this is using Unity's default character controller. And then if I press F again, it's going to go back to the MOCAP data. So it's a way that you can kind of, use Unity's default animation system and character controllers to have a character run around a scene, and then also to be able to switch between the MOCAP data that's live streaming from Axis.
Nice.
And if you see, yeah, it should kind of, if I look left, it doesn't seem to be snapping correctly. Usually it would snap a little bit better. Oh, I think I know why. You have to go into Axis Neuron and rotate the character a little bit. So right now it's just like 90 degrees off.
Right. Yeah, that's the yaw, I believe. So if
you just rotate that in Axis 90 degrees, then that should fix that snapping issue that you see there.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, let me know if I should do it. I mean, it's just more or less to show people.
Yeah, well, you could do that. I'm not sure if it's plus 90 or minus 90, but
okay.
you have control?
Yes. Let me just go back into here. Let me go to solver parameter. It's plus 90. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, give it a shot now.
Okay. So the other way.
Is the other way? Okay, not a problem. Let's just set that up. Just bear with us while we do this configuration.
This is the part of the game development is just trial and error sometimes.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
Yeah, so now you could see. So here I've got the game view animation. And then now I've got Daniel's live streaming MOCAP data. So that works. And then let me see if I could show you what's going on behind it. Am I able to click on the screen?
You can. You have full remote control on my screen, so you can. Let me make sure that you continue to have it. I want to make sure that we're not. Okay. I'm not kicking. Yeah, you got it. You got it. You got it.
So I'll show you a little bit something interesting that I'm doing here. So originally I uploaded the script like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and you could find it online by searching for PNRetargetting Unity.
And we will make this available on a link for on our YouTube when we upload it, so everyone has access to this as well. So we'll take care of that.
Yeah, and so I made an original version that does the retargeting, and that works with. Originally, I made it for Mixamo characters because Mixamo was an easy way to rig your own characters and bring them into Unity. So if you look here at the properties I have a Mixamo prefix, and then I added an iClone prefix so that now you can make a iClone character and then bring them into Unity, and then it would retarget for you that character. But it seems like they have their own version of that. But one thing that's cool about what I'm doing here is, so this is the original PN retargeting script that I made, and I updated it since I uploaded it a few years ago. And then now I've got a newer version called PNRetargetting. So this hasn't been uploaded yet. So this is kind of a little bit still experimental. But what this will do is, if you notice, the characters are in like a perfect T-pose. So if I'm able to, let's see, like if I go to the legs here, I like rotate it in a weird way. Oops, sorry about that.
Sorry.
It's nice to be able to do it, over the internet, but a little bit not the fastest. Anyway, so let's say you do something like that. Or you could just think of it, for instance, being in an A pose instead of a T pose, or for instance, maybe your fingers aren't lining up exactly like the Perception Neuron robot is. There's a lot of like different variables. It's usually hard to get like a perfect T pose that matches exactly what Perception Neuron wants. So what this retargeting script will do, oops, let's retry that. I see what's going on. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, so as you could see, so you could see that even though his leg was messed up, it's still animating the way you would expect it to.
Right.
So that means you don't need to be in a perfect T-pose in order to correctly retarget the data.
Nice. Well, this applies for a lot of different characters as well. I mean, it's something that I think a lot of users can use. Like you mentioned, there's maybe not a perfect T-pose. You can adjust it so that it works with our plugin.
Yeah, so like for instance, this is kind of the standard Unity character. And you could see like his fingers are kind of not perfectly straight. And so if you just do regular retargeting, then you'll see like the fingers sometimes kind of hyperextend when you open up to the extremities. And that's just because it's not retargeting as perfectly as it should be. So that's kind of what this new auto retargeting script is going to be doing for you.
Awesome. Great.
And then do we have the other project downloaded?
Let me go ahead and copy that. Give me 1 second. Okay. So any questions in the meantime while we set this up?
Yeah, you guys sent questions. So in the chat, I've kind of been putting some different projects that we've done. I sent links and the article to the Unity project that was done with Perception Neuron using the that they did the previs, as well as some examples on the biomechanics stuff that Daniel was talking about. Again, with the flexibility that Toby was saying when I asked him, the great thing is that plugin is free and it's available for everyone to use. So you don't have to worry about, having to put like a payment on this. It's completely available to anyone, and we try to make things accessible to everyone. So from our software, they can get on the website to the different plugins that we have. Once you have the plugin, you really have the ability to start creating for anything that ranges from animation to XR projects. So like I was mentioning in the chat, to custom scripts like Richard's talking about here. So really that ability to use a plugin for anything that you want is really important, and really enables our users to create the type of things that they have been creating. So once this project opens up, I'll go ahead and divert.
All right. So this is all real time.
Yeah.
So we're just getting this project.
Daniel doesn't even know what he's getting into with this next project, but that's what makes it fun and exciting.
Good thing I got a decent computer here.
Daniel, do you know what my favorite video game is?
Final Fantasy.
Yes. You guys know me pretty well. And so, the new Final Fantasy VII remake just came out a few days ago.
Okay. So you still got control of my computer, I believe. So
okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, so we made a little fun character to animate here. Made the right choice. So these errors and these Steam messages that are popping up is because I actually made it so that you can control the character in virtual reality using Perception Neuron. So it'll be like a first-person view. Actually, Daniel, do you have the link to that video that I sent you?
Yes. Let me pull that up. Give me one second.
We can show that really quick.
Is it, let me see here. Is it
the first one? Yeah.
Just full screen out so everyone can see that.
So you can see here's the first-person view using Perception Neuron. There's also, you'll see in a second, it'll do a little bit of augmented reality. It's not true augmented reality because it's just using the front-facing camera of the HTC Vive.
Nice.
And just kind of showing off the accuracy.
Very cool.
Oh, this is PN 1.0.
Yeah. Original. So yeah, guys, this works. What Richard built and kind of what he's showing, with the same plugin, it works for the PN32, the PN Pro, and PN Studio, which is really great. And even this augment thing that he's showing is really, really nice and it's accurate. And Gaspar actually put a video up as well on chat on something that he had done similarly with the Magic Leap, actually. So that's very nice.
Well, cool. So let me exit so we can go back to the presentation here. So you should have control now.
Okay.
Should.
Yeah, I got it.
Perfect.
So let me just hide this game view because that's showing the first-person view, which we don't care about right now. So we're going to give Daniel control of one of my favorite video game characters.
Uh-oh. Oh.
Is that your MOCAP data there?
That's me. You know what? We actually have a sword in the office.
Buster sword?
It's a practice sword that we just got. We're gonna use as a prop very soon with a hybrid.
Can you turn around and try to grab the sword maybe? Yeah, it's not going to grab, but on a different project, I actually have it working with the HTC Vive controller, so you can actually pick up the sword and swing it around.
So cool. Wow, this is awesome.
That's very cool. Good job.
So this character model I actually just found online. It's actually from a video game. I think it's Dissidia, like the newer Dissidia game. So I found the character, somebody figured out a way to pull it out of the game and then make it into an FBX. And then I was able to take that and throw that in here. So it's not a Mixamo character. It's not a iClone character. It's pretty much kind of ripped from a game, a different video game. And so it's not really supposed to be used this way, but I'm just kind of showing off, because I was able to dig into the code and build my own retargeting, I was able to customize it in such a way so that you can manually, assign all the joints. So if anybody does ever look at this script, that's what all this extra stuff down here is, like your main body joints. You've got your hips, and then you've got the different parts of the chains of the spine. So you would just have to manually, because it's, it's such a strangely or differently built skeletal structure, you have to manually assign everything. And so that's kind of what all of this stuff is here. So if you look up top here, usually if you make a mixamo character, you usually just check this box here, and then you just write the prefix. The prefix, if we've got the other project, I don't know if I can alt-tab here. I guess not.
No,
But,
yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, so if it's a mixamo character, you just select this prefix, you type in the prefix, and then everything below this main body joints should be automatically assigned, including the fingers. Or if you do iClone, same thing, you put the prefix, because usually when you use like a 3D modeling application, it'll name all the joints with the same prefix. So as long as that's true, then that should work, even if it's not mixamo or iClone. But these two checkboxes are specific to those to make it easier. And then also, if you look at like these hand joints, so what I do is I just tell the base of each finger joint. So like the first one is the thumb, the second one is the index finger, and then it should, if done correctly, should like automatically populate all the fingers. So you don't have to, because with the hand, you've got like 25 joints or something like that. So having to manually assign each one could be quite a pain. But then the way I'm doing it here, I just assign the root of each finger, and then I say how many joints per finger. So you have 4 joints per finger, and it should, if done correctly or if named correctly, it should automatically populate all that stuff. But anyway, so it just shows another way to think about it, of being able to take a character, that's not mixamo, that's not iClone, that's not really anything, and as long as it's still kind of a humanoid type character, it should still work.
Very cool. Richard, have you ever used the prop tool to put on a sword, for example, or anything else?
Yeah, so I wanted to show another video really quick that would show that off, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Can I get like a web browser opened?
Yes, let's open YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is answering Stephanie's question, and she brings up actually a good point, because you could actually use on the PN 2.0 and the PN 1.0, you can use the prop tool and bind it to a section on the body, which enables you to do rotational tracking on an external object. Unfortunately, you can't do that on the Pro, and we're going to be doing that with the hybrid tracking on the PN Studio. But this is actually a nice way, now that Richard will go ahead and show us this. It's a good way that you're using that PN 2.0 to track an external object by binding it to an object.
Is the sound playing for this? Does that matter?
No, it's okay if it doesn't. I think you could. Okay. Yeah, go for it.
So I just wanted to show. So here's like a little video I made using the Perception Neuron. I'm just going to show the beginning part, but so obviously using it for like Japanese samurai swordsmanship.
One of the many passions that Richard has.
Yeah, you could see me jumping around in the video there. I forget exactly. So here you could see a little bit where I'm doing that retargeting. But I think the main thing is here at the beginning. If you catch it really quick. So here I actually have this is all being done in virtual reality. So here I'm actually using a VII controller attached to the wooden sword. And then a little later on here in the video, so here you could see it. Here I'm talking about the different ways that I was thinking of attaching or tracking the sword. Again, this is a few years ago, so it's a little bit different now. For instance, now you've got the VIV tracker. You could track the sword with that. If you were to bring it into the virtual space.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah. So like Richard showing, you could use the VII.
Here
and
you can see
got
it.
the prop. Yeah, the prop tool to get the rotation.
So yeah, the prop tool. Yeah, you just have to kind of manually attach it. The only problem with the prop tool is like you kind of daisy chain it onto your body, and so you can't like really put it down.
Yeah, because it's binded.
Yeah. So you can't put it down, which actually for this demo is okay because you're holding a sword. You probably don't really want to put it down, but it can. It's just a little bit more difficult to work with, and also it's just a rotation, so it usually won't be as accurate unless if you had a VII tracker attached to it, then you would get a little bit more accuracy.
I think just to some information for the future with the Perception Neuron Studio, we are adding hybrid tracking, which will be more of object tracking for a lot of users. So then that will take care of a lot of that request for users who need to have some kind of object tracking, in other words.
Yeah.
Correct.
Let me I was hearing Richard's voice throughout that. So yeah,
you did. Sorry about that.
No, it's
you
totally
hear me like yelling and shouting and stuff.
Yeah. So I think that's good. A lot of insightful information from both parties, from Richard and Toby. I learned a lot through this webinar, and I hope you guys learned a lot as well. A lot of the assets that we have here will be available for users, to download and just have fun with Unity. So. I guess if any other questions come in, Toby, you're still here with us, just checking in. If Toby's, just want to get, you're still there. Awesome. So I just want to give you a big thank you for joining us today. Your insights and your knowledge is extremely helpful, and so thank you again. And then I guess I'll leave it for Alex if he wants to add anything else.
No, I think this has been great. I think we tend to get a lot of questions on Unity, and I think this clears up a lot of things. The ability to use the SDK that Toby and his team built, and even what Richard built upon using the High-Five, because again, we work on a variety of products and product lines. And that versatility to take that from traditional motion capture for animation to film to XR to script building, you can do that with the plugin that we have. And maybe you learn a little bit of coding, and this is basically a nice foundation for you guys to get started. And once you have the techniques and tools, you can start scene building, develop your own games, or do things for traditional film animation the projects that you guys want to work on. Other than that, I want to thank Toby and Richard for joining us today. It's great to see familiar faces. May they continue on to do amazing things with Toby in Switzerland and Richard now in Wisconsin. Their cards are there, and they've worked with our team quite a bit. So I want to thank them for joining us today. Daniel for again live driving the character in real time.
And if I can really quick, just
please.
Daniel, is it okay if we put the slide back on? The first slide you had, they had like the contact information.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you see there, I've got my email. It's the innerbushido@gmail.com. So if you guys are interested in trying out that retargeting or auto retargeting scripts, and also like the virtual reality first person controller, I'd be willing to share it, and because right now it's just kind of like a personal project. I haven't shared it other than the original version a few years ago, but I've made some changes to it, and would be interested in completing it and sharing it with the community. So if you are interested, you could just send me an email at innerbushido@gmail.com.
Yes. So thank you so much, Richard. Dane asking, are the links going to be on the YouTube video? I'll make sure that the links that I posted on here in terms of the videos that that I shared are on the YouTube link when we post this up. Richard, if you could share us with your videos as well, make sure that those are linked here as well for people to follow. Next webinar is on Friday. If you guys are interested, that's going to be a notch focused webinar. So we'll have a special guest, Armin, who's the head trainer for Notch. So if you guys are into live visual effects, real-time creation, this is a class that you guys don't want to miss.
We're actually going to test out a remote MOCAP from Miami to Norway. So stay tuned for that.
Yes, we'll see the results of that. Other than that, thank you guys for joining us. We'll make sure that this video goes up as well as the other ones. Apologies that there's been a delay in terms of posting these up, but we'll make sure that everything is up for review. And any other questions you guys have, please feel free to send those in.
More than happy to answer those.
Awesome, guys. I think this was...
I have one small last question for Richard. Are you going to release your retargeting, the new version you made? What's the plan for it?
What's the plans?
Yeah, are you going to release it, or will it be part of the...
I wanna release it to the community. So I made like the original 1.0 version that I put up there, and I put it on the Perception Neuron forums, and I put it up for free, and a lot of people used it. I got a lot of emails from people. I helped them out getting everything working, and I had a lot of people give good feedback and saying that it really helped them, and a few professors as well. So that went really well, but it was kind of an early version, and I just kind of threw it up on the internet just because I built it more for myself, because I wanted to do some interesting stuff using Perception Neuron. So I figured, why not share it with other people as well? So with the newer version, so I did the auto retargeting, and I added using it for first-person virtual reality, and there's a few other features, newer features in there. So I'm planning on posting it online and putting it on the Unity Asset Store. But with the newer version, I'll probably charge a little bit, so maybe $15 or $20.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be interested in that.
Yeah, I could send it to you. But if anybody's interested, I was also thinking, if there's some people that don't have $15 or $20, then they could just message me. I can send it to them as well. Also, maybe put it on itch.io and a pay what you want kind of thing. Just because it's hard making money as a VR programmer these days. So try to figure out new ways to make some money. But it's not about making money. It's about helping other developers, other like-minded people, and kind of building a community and stuff.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks, you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it, guys. I don't want to keep everyone too long, but I really appreciate this everyone joining, and then we'll touch base on Friday for our next webinar. And thank you again, Toby and Richard.
Yeah. Thank you. Really good to see you. I don't get to see you guys that much, especially now that we're all at home, right? So
I thought it was a good reunion.
Yeah,
guys, it was really great to see you both again.
Yes. You guys take care, and thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you guys on Friday.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.